Hello, everyone. Welcome, and we're excited to have everyone here. This is the Best Company Podcast. I'm Justin Ashby, VP of Marketing, and we're very excited to be talking to Joe Jordan, who is a co-CEO and founder of Siro. And we'll be talking a little about this software. It's in beta currently, and he has a number of customers that are also our customers, so there's some overlap there. We thought it would be awesome to talk to him and see what he's trying to accomplish with his company. Now, Joe is a undergraduate of Wharton, so he comes from a pretty solid stock of university students, and now he's out building software and everything. And part of the reason for building Siro, which we're going to get into here in just a minute, was he was a top salesperson at Cutco, which is a really interesting model they have over there. And out in New Jersey, he was a top salesperson, and he just saw a need specifically in training and being able to train multiple people very quickly. And so he's going to get into a little bit of those use cases and everything that Siro is trying to accomplish. But Joe, welcome. We're excited to have you, and welcome.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Joe's out in Manhattan right now trying to build his business, and he already has a number of field sales reps, door-to-door, all types of sales personnel on the waitlist and already using the app in beta. Joe, talk to us a little bit about the thoughts behind this. Obviously, you have a background in sales, so you saw the need there, but walk us through kind of the formation of this brand new product you're working on.
Sure. So in my second summer with Cutco, I was invited to become a manager. And that summer we finished in the top 10 teams in the company out of about 600. So in the top 2% of teams in my first campaign. Never expected that. But I still felt personally uneasy about how we did, because I wasn't able to help a single one of those 186 people that we hired do better than I did personally the previous summer. And the reason was people were making mistakes that were never caught and never corrected. And so people who could have done amazing, some people even who needed that job, like it was the most important thing they could have executed well to grow personally, ended up quitting or falling far short of their potential. And so the whole reason we built Siro was to speed up the coaching process so we could actually catch and correct those mistakes that were killing our sales reps.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, for companies that are listening, if you have a sales force or a support team or people that are dealing with customers, especially, whether, pre-purchase or whatever stage of the customer journey, Joe recognized this opportunity to essentially scale training through recordings, right? I mean, the offering is essentially recording your sales personnel and then bringing that data into one place and kind of analyzing it and then creating actionable insights.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, fundamentally, the problem with coaching is you can only be in one place at one time. So that limits you pretty hard if you have a field sales team. And two, most of the time that a sales rep spends isn't that interesting. So if you're going to go follow them around for 2 hours, even if you could be with your entire team at one time, like there's a lot of wasted hours there. And so fundamentally what Siro is designed to do is, first of all, capture all this audio from the conversations and then analyze it to surface the most interesting moments. Where are your reps introducing themselves, building value, handling objections, clarifying concerns, closing, talking about next steps? This way, if you have a rep going out there and knocking doors, for example, for 5 to 6 hours, we can surface the 3 most interesting conversations from that day, kind of the close calls where the customer gave them something to work with, maybe asked a couple of buying questions, and then we'll surface the most interesting moments from those conversations. And so we can shrink down a 10 or 15 minute conversation into 2 or 3 minutes of coachable moments.
Yeah, that's fascinating. What has the response been so far, Joe? Obviously, you have a number of companies that are interested. We met SolarCon. Best Company was at SolarCon, which was in Utah this last year, and Joe and his team were exhibiting there. I mean, what's been the response so far for the product? Yeah,
the testimonials, frankly, have been even more glowing than we ever expected them to be. Mm-hmm. So besides kind of like people saying the general stuff of, oh, it's a game changer, and we have a 5-star rating on the App Store, the value propositions that people are most excited about are time savings. especially from a manager perspective, and especially in places where managers are also responsible for selling and producing personally. So whereas you might have had to choose, like prioritize who to coach or how to spend your time, whether I'm selling now or I'm going and shadowing a sales rep, you no longer have to make that choice. And we did some math. It looks like it's about 10x time savings for people. So we had one sales manager, pest control company, Active Environmental, Kyle McCullough, who said he used to spend like 20 hours a week shadowing his reps early in the summer. Now he spends 2 hours in Siro and can spend all that time knocking, personally producing, while getting the same or better coaching output in just those 2 hours.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, coaching is such a one-on-one endeavor for the most part. Obviously, unless you're broadcasting to a large audience or something, like it's very difficult to scale more than just that one-on-one time. And if you can essentially cut out travel time, you can cut out listening to all the dull moments in a day, especially with the door-to-door case. Aptiv being one of our customers as well on bestcompany.com. It's fascinating. Clearly they're trying to level up, and Siro is helping them do that. One thing that's interesting just in this space in general, maybe you could talk to our audience a little bit about the opportunity in field sales. I think it's being from living in Utah, there's a large, there's just a lot of people that are willing to do that type of work and do it very well, very effectively. A number of companies start here. It's kind of a haven for companies that want to do like a sales-led growth model. And we've noticed that as well with Best Company. We are also debuting some beta software and an iPhone app that is going to help door-to-door sales reps with their reputation, their credibility, and referrals. And so I think it's really interesting, the timing that you guys are entering the market as well with a product that is identifying the opportunities. And then I think there's a number of products out there that are essentially going to fill those needs, the opportunities, right? So I think that's perfect. Walk us through, you talked a little bit about Cutco. Obviously you were a great salesperson there, but then you moved into that managerial role and you kind of wondered, okay, like I know how to be an individual contributor and really perform. How does that transition over to managing? What are some of the things that you notice that you're applying into the app that are those actionable insights? Like what types of things are you really looking for that you think you can deliver with the software?
Sure. So probably the most important lessons I learned as a manager was that, one, you have to believe in the opportunity. Otherwise, there's no chance your sales reps will. In fact, there was 1 week where I actually sold personally. In Cutco, it's not their tradition for the manager to sell personally. I did for 1 week, and I was a better coach for the next month because I had reminded myself just how awesome the opportunity was. And so number one, you have to believe in the opportunity. Number two is you have to gather as much evidence you can of success, because the evidence of success in door-to-door and in field sales is amazing. I met someone who now makes more money than most neurosurgeons, which if you know how much neurosurgeons make, that's a lot of money going door-to-door. And
that's amazing. Wow.
And that kind of evidence needs to be presented to people. And more specifically, when people see these kinds of numbers and commissions on leaderboards, the first reaction is, what are they doing that I'm not doing? I'm just different from them. I don't know if I could ever do that. And there's just separation that happens. And so what we always tried to do as managers was introduce the most promising reps to the people who are already killing it, to give those promising reps a vision of who they might be in a few months or a few years if they stick to it and continue learning. It's so important to give that evidence and make it real, make it human, so someone can see, I can do that too. And so the way we do that in Siro is we actually take the audio examples of the top reps, and throughout your conversation, when you encounter those key moments, we'll show you how the top reps in the company are handling those things. So I was reviewing a recording earlier today. It was a pest control sales rep where there was the first impression, the initial approach. Who do you use for pest control? Oh, we do it ourselves. Then, okay, we'll sweeten the deal for you. Okay, that's interesting, but I need to talk to my wife. And you sort of keep going, and there's all these key moments. And at each moment in your recording, you can see how the top people have successfully overcome the same moment. And so you're constantly introducing people to the top people, getting them into the audio, which makes them seem more human, and gives the idea that you can do it too. So
amazing. I was just going to ask, do you find that managers are reviewing the audio recordings or the transcription? Because I noticed just seeing some screenshots and things that it seems like the recordings get transcribed. Do you feel like managers are more utilizing both in tandem? Maybe there's more retention there by listening and reading, but what's the process for a manager to kind of look through that data?
Sure. The transcript is mainly there to help you find where you want to listen, because it's not just the lyrics, it's the music. So the transcript is there so you can jump to where you want to listen. Because, I mean, that's fundamentally the problem with all this audio, is it's the best place to go for coaching, but there's so much of it. And so the transcript is there to help you find where you want to listen. Now, there's some interesting examples where people would show like two exact same transcripts with completely different outcomes, just to emphasize how much the music matters. The voice fluctuation, the confidence, the intonation, these sorts of things.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I think that's that's big time. I mean, even if you're just reading the transcript, you could probably come to the conclusion that, hey, this person's hitting the script and everything looks A-okay, but they seem to not be closing deals, and the difference is the music. Love that. You said not just the lyrics, it's the music too. That's great. So what do you see happening for Siro? Obviously, you're still in beta. It's not really open. You don't have a pricing strategy. You don't have a you talked to me a little bit about the, client success side of things, onboarding, how is that model going to change? But what do you see happening for Siro, and what can some of our viewers and people that are interested in leveling up their sales teams, what can they expect to look for with Siro in the near future?
Yeah, well, get on the waitlist now, and we'll be onboarding people from the waitlist starting around the end of the summer, beginning of the fall. Once we get you started, we'll have you get set up, and basically it takes one call for your sales reps to be ready to do their first recordings. As far as the future of the company, like, we're starting in door-to-door sales, and we'll move on to field sales generally, and then we'll move on to sales generally. I mean, this is a massive market. I guess the class of company we are, it's called conversation intelligence. Right now, CRM is the biggest software market in the world. By 2030, conversation intelligence will be either slightly smaller or slightly bigger, depending on which projection you look at, than CRM. And so conversation intelligence is blowing up. We are trying to make sure that conversation intelligence is used to empower individual sales reps. That's why we love sales, because of the opportunity it creates for human individuals. You don't need a fancy background. You don't need a fancy degree. You get in, and it's up to two things: how hard you work and how good you get. At bats times batting percentage. There are not a lot of places that are that meritocratic. And we want to make sure that conversation intelligence, as it blows up, is not just used as a big brother tool or something to give some really broad insights to a VP of sales. We want to make sure it's used to accelerate individual salespeople's journeys from novicehood to mastery in sales.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's great, and understanding the projections and the opportunity in the space is obviously key to really, as you guys are also going to take on funding and different things, like that'll be well received, that opportunity, versus when the biggest market in the CRMs. Well, that's awesome. I think it's fascinating, and obviously I think there's an opportunity here, certainly, to we ourselves at Best Company identified that a number of our customers with door-to-door sales teams were referencing, hey, don't take our word for it, go check us out on bestcompany.com. They're housing their reviews and a lot of kind of their positioning and the messaging they do at the door. They're leveraging their reputation on bestcompany.com. And we've also found that it's kind of hard sometimes to pull out an iPad and try to find a web page to show. It's kind of clunky. So we're also in beta as well to develop a way that these door-to-door sales reps can easily access their reputation and show off their credibility, and then a way to manage referrals, which I think will be a great, another great product there. But the Siro product, it's certainly fascinating. We're excited for your success so far. a number of customers. Joe and I were talking before, and I won't share exactly, but the growing list of customers and the wait list is impressive, and I would think there's going to be benefits from jumping on earlier than later to become an early adopter of Siro for any of our groups that are listening with large sales forces, and especially in the door-to-door space. So, Joe, we appreciate your time, and we're excited for the product.
Yeah, likewise. I mean, I'm excited about what you guys are coming out with, because we've seen some of the most successful approaches to solving I want to think about it and I want to do more research have been people in the middle of the conversation bringing up the reviews of their company. We've seen this specifically at Aptiv, one of your other customers. So the data shows it too. I mean, this is a approach that not only helps you manage your company's reputation in your other sorts of marketing, but on the door as well.
Yeah. No, we that's our model, for people that are listening, and, Siro customers potentially too, as you share, like this, that's what we've noticed. And that's why Best Company Reviews, we're really excited how we believe reviews can turn into referrals, which you just don't get that in Google reviews. And there's so many other different review platforms, but we really believe your happy customers turn into reviews. Those reviews can turn into video testimonials, which can help in a lot of different digital marketing campaigns and things. And then those customers can turn into, the advocates that provide referrals to you. And it's this customer journey. We're really trying to close the loop. So I love hearing about, a product like Siro. You're working on getting more at bats and that batting percentage. And how can you increase the batting percentage? How can you increase the at bats? And I think proper training through Siro certainly will increase batting percentage, and then utilizing and leveraging, we call them endorsements for individual sales reps, and then reviews for actual company reviews and things can really, help close more opportunities. So, Joe, appreciate the discussion today. I think, this is obviously a space that companies should be taking advantage of, whether it's summer sales or year-round sales. It's a real opportunity, especially for, I would even say, someone at any point in their career, if they'd like to, you said it's a meritocracy. It's like you can really put in the time and make good money. So it's a cool space to really offer more and more opportunities, in sales. So I think Siro is definitely going to be providing those, and hopefully Best Company does it well. So we appreciate your time, Joe. And for those of you watching, we'll make sure to post a link to join the waitlist for Siro in the description of the video and the article we're writing about Siro. And we'd love for our network at Best Company to take a chance on Siro and join the waitlist. So thanks, Joe. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. Of course.
Okay. All right. We'll see you.